If you followed the Olympics, you might remember the name Iman Khalif, an Algerian boxer who never looked weak, never lost a single match until she finally clinched the gold medal. But the moment, instead of celebrating athletic achievement, sparked a whirlwind of a controversy. You see, many people questioned her identity, asking whether she truly was a woman. And for daring to ask that question, they were immediately attacked by a wave of online mobs, the NPC cavalry. It was treated as if questioning her gender was some sort of vile crime, as if no one should ever challenge the narrative that she was a woman. But now, as the dust settles, the truth has come out, in a leaked document, no less. It has revealed what many had suspected already. Iman Khalif has XY chromosomes, a genetic pattern associated with men, not women. She was not born a woman. This is not just a small oversight, it's a critical issue. And so, for a moment, let's pause and reflect. Imagine the countless women athletes who dedicate an upwards of 10,000 hours of practice, sacrificing time with friends, family, and their personal lives to compete in a fiercely contested field. Women who finish second, third, or even the last place, but give it their all, only to face an unfair competition against someone with an innate biological advantage. It's heartbreaking. These women who had fought so hard to prove themselves are now up against a system that rewards a form of diversity that isn't diversity at all. It's nothing but hypocrisy. Let's not forget the larger picture over here that encompasses the issue. The very people who claim to be champions of women's rights and equality, particularly those on the left, have some of the loudest defenders of this incident. They champion female rights in words, but their actions tell a different story. When men compete against women in categories meant to be reserved for females, where is the outrage? Instead, they push a narrative that it's all fine, all in the name of inclusion. What diversity? It's not diversity, it's a mockery of the very progress women have fought for over centuries. You see, they have taken sacred something that women fought tooth and nail for, their right to vote, their right to participate equally, and made a joke out of it. These women's effort, their voices have been suppressed, ridiculed, and even co opted by a system that doesn't care about equality. This didn't happen overnight. It's a classical play by those who benefit from such distortions. Let's step back in time and think about the travesty that women in India once faced. Ghungat, sati, and child marriage, practices that were forced upon women. But here's the uncomfortable truth. These were not native to the Indian society, they were byproducts of centuries of foreign invasion and occupation. While the world points finger at these outdated practices, as they should, they fail to acknowledge that the root cause of this was the uncivilized, coward, and the vile crimes committed by the foreign invaders. And when we, as a society, try to highlight this historical truth, we are labeled xenophobic, disrespectful, and bigoted. Why? Because the real history doesn't serve the modern narrative. It doesn't talk about the communist system. Let's talk about the women who did shape the history, the ones who were at the heart of Indian civilization. Take Rani Lakshmibai, for example, a fierce warrior who stood against the British colonial forces. She didn't fight for her gender, but as a warrior. She fought for her kingdom. She stood by her people and her rightful place as a lawful queen and a mother. Her role as a queen and mother was far more important to her than anything else, and that is why she is revered as one of the greatest figures in Indian history. And let's not forget the Vedas, the very foundation of Hindu philosophy and knowledge. Who were the sages and seers who wrote these texts? They weren't all men. In fact, most revered sages in ancient India were women, like Gaigi and Matsi. These women who defined spiritual and intellectual thought, who shaped the ancient world with their wisdom. Yet today, we are fed a narrative that women have always been victims in our society. This couldn't be further from the truth. Folks, it's time to wake up. The feminist movement was never about victimhood. It was never about silencing women who speak up for themselves and questioning the narratives that undermine equality. It was about lifting women, about recognizing their contributions in the society and giving them equal platform that they truly deserve. So I ask you, do you wish for a society where this continues? Do you wish for a world where women are reduced to mere political tool, their struggles erased in favor of agendas that ignore biological realities? Because I do not. We must demand true equality, not the kind that plays with the truth, not the kind that undermines real efforts, but the kind that honors people and women who have always been capable of strength, wisdom, and leadership. and the undeniable right to compete fairly. Let's stop pretending, let's stop the hypocrisy, and give women the respect that they deserve by protecting their space, their rights, and their victories.